It's the radio guy, Mike Prince, and welcome back to the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union hotline. We have an exclusive call right now. No stranger to the network. As a matter of fact, have had the pleasure of interviewing him on more than one occasion. But we're bringing, by way of Express Lane, back to the show, head basketball coach and athletic director now at Denmark Technical College in South Carolina, Coach Andre Payne. How you doing, sir?
I am doing well, doing very well.
Well, you're sounding well, sounding strong, and hopefully you had a wonderful holiday weekend, but with a little twist, as we'll lead into in just a moment.
Yes, it went well. Thankful, got a chance to, visit friends and families, and then, like you said, they had a twist, a turn, and everything at the end there.
Which is leading us to this exclusive phone call with you, Coach. There was a story that came out in regards of some, we want to say, accusations of some harsh treatment, or even some was dare to say inhumane treatment of some former players while you were at Mississippi Valley State. And you spent 5 years at Mississippi Valley State. With the circumstances you had to work with, you overcame some odds. Always would have liked to accomplish a little bit more. But if you could fill in the gap on why we're even on this call right now today.
Yes, sir. Yesterday, about maybe 3 or 4 o'clock, I got a call from our assistant coach who said, "Coach, have you seen what someone posted on HBCUsports.com?" And so I said, "No," and I went and read the article. And the title of the article was, "They are tearing down their school. Another Mississippi Valley State accuses coaches of abuse. Patrick Rucker is the latest Mississippi Valley State athlete to allege mistreatment by a coach that ranged from verbal to emotional abuse." And so, I was blown back because I'm like, well, Patrick only played for one coach that I'm aware of at Mississippi Valley State, and that was
me. So when you're reading this story and it's unfolding before your eyes, and it goes into more detail for those who might not be aware of exactly what's going on, but at the onslaught, the story appeared to be somewhat one-sided. And when you're reading this and you're hearing this, what's going through your mind as you are reading this story?
Well, as I'm reading it, I'm number one, I'm shocked from what I'm reading. Number two, I'm asking myself, why? Why would this young man say such things? And then finally, I asked myself, why wouldn't the media outlet give me an opportunity to comment, rebuke, or fact check this story before they went publicly with it? And which I thought was the professional way that journalists, reporters handled themselves.
Okay, and to their credit, with some initiation from your side of things, you did get a response, which in turn was a follow-up article and interview. Can you explain to us how that went?
Yes, I did. I researched them and emailed them. Asked them that, hey, I want an opportunity to tell my side if you don't mind. And I did. We talked last night. I talked with the reporter Kendrick Marshall, and I started the conversation of, hey, sir, you wrote an article that really defamed my name, and the things that you wrote about are untrue, and you did not even give me an opportunity to rebuke, express my opinion, or whatever you may call it. You didn't contact me, and I want to know why. Why did you write it, and why didn't you even give me an opportunity before you went public with it? So he proceeded to ask me, well, Coach, I understand. I would like to hear your side of it, and it went from there.
And, okay, and as a result, we have the follow-up article, which was on today. And let me ask you this flat out. Are you satisfied with being able to tell your side of the story and the way things are ironed out right now?
I am very satisfied that I was able to tell my side of the story. I am dissatisfied because I wasn't able to tell my side of the story before you printed the first article. That's what I'm dissatisfied with. As I told the journalist, as I told Mr. Marshall, I said, hey, we live in a free country. We don't live in a third world country that's run by a dictator. So I'm for the press. I want the press to be able to put out information because they do a good job of allowing us to be able to get information that we may not be privy to if we didn't have a free press. But at the same time, I expect you to, as a professional, to understand that whatever I put out, I can't get back. So let me make sure before I put this information out, this information is as accurate as I could possibly make it.
Very well stated. We're on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union hotline with head basketball coach Andre Payne responding to some allegations of inhumane and mistreatment of some ball players. Now, Coach, in the article that I was able to read, you and I'm old school. Let me just put this disclaimer in as a matter of factly. I personally couldn't decipher what the issue was. Being I'm 54. I don't know your age, so I don't know if you were in the same neighborhood or what. But when I played, and I played in the SWAC, and I was fortunate enough to have a pretty successful career, but there were times where if you wasn't where you were supposed to be per assignment, decimals would elevate. Son, what are you thinking? Son, what are you doing? And at Prairie View, we had what was called the loop. And the loop was a nice little hilly circle that went around the campus, I guess about a 3-mile circumference or so. But once you ran it, you knew what the loop meant when they say hit the loop. So I'm trying to figure out, was this just a missed crosswire? Why would the student athlete jump out on a ledge like this with these accusations?
Well, the only thing I can say, because I can't speak for him, but let me only give my opinion on this here. Because first of all, he and I had a really good relationship. So that is what was so totally shocking about this. A lot of times, and this is not just athletes, this is the world now. Everybody is looking for that 15 minutes of fame. Everybody wants those particular likes on social media and things of that nature. So that is the only thing that I could think of, that why this young man would have come out and said these things that he said. And so that's the only thing I can take. And I will say, I know you don't mean any harm. You said players, and this only one guy, a player, that said, that made these accusations. And, because it always make a difference with a bunch of players, and it's just one guy, a player.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We were actually referring to the accusations of other players at the Valley athletic, program, because there are some from the softball side of things where I'm in just as much shock as hearing about Coach Lee Smith than I was with you. Lee Smith, with all due intents and purposes, probably one of the most successful coaches to come through Valley, and you don't get there that long if you're mistreating people on a consistent basis, because those kind of things will have a tendency to rise up and bite your head right off.
Oh, definitely. And so I was totally shocked about that. The only thing that I could think of too is, and to be honest with you, the guy who wrote this article was the same guy who wrote the article about softball 2 weeks ago. So I was thinking, what you're trying to keep that going? So therefore, is a fishing expedition to try to continue to find something and keep that going, because you don't want that to die down. I mean, we all know negativity sells,
Right.
And so nevertheless, as I read the article, and, it said Patrick Rucker was once told to run with a medicine ball during practice until the Mississippi Valley State head coach, Andre Payne, instructed him to stop. And so I was like, okay, I never denied that. I never denied that. I told the journalist, Mr. Marshall, I said, he was late, probably the second day of workout as a walk-on. And I said, and I didn't kick him off. I said, because a lot of coaches would have just said, you're a walk-on, bye.
Right.
And
right.
and I said, okay, son, you gotta run with the medicine ball. That was it in the gym.
He runs with the medicine ball. Obviously, the medicine ball having the weight. And look, just they said the devil pays attention to detail. You remember the weight of the ball?
Oh, I couldn't remember the exact weight, but I guarantee it was no more than 10 to 15 pounds.
Yes, sir.
Medicine ball. That we would do things like that to make the kids think about, hey, I ain't coming late no more to practice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And another ironic twist in this. Here you have a walk-on, not a preferred walk-on, but a walk-on who plays 24 games. Another 24 games, he starts 12 of those games, and I'm having a disconnect. If I don't want you on my team, as you referred to back a while ago, then see you later, kid. Bye-bye. But most cases, a coach drives a student athlete, A, when they know that there's more in the tank, and B, they trying to get them to pull out things that they didn't even know they had in them themselves.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's the honest truth. I told Mr. Marshall, the reporter, I said, let me make this clear. I said, so let me break this down. I said, as a NCAA Division I school, APR is probably one of the most important things in a head coach's career because we get hired and fired on APR scores. And I say, so therefore, only scholarship athletes count against your APR. So therefore, a walk-on doesn't even count against your APR. So I can let that walk-on go at any point in time, and I don't have to justify it. Now if it's a scholarship athlete, that athlete, there's a lot of documentation comes a part of it. Then you got to worry about, are you going to lose points with APR? I was telling him that you have to be very careful when it comes to athletes who are on scholarship because you don't want them to hurt your APR rate. And so, therefore, as a walk-on, at any point in time, I could have let him go and nothing would have been said because it doesn't affect the APR. But I like this young man. I seen something in him that made me give him a chance. For one thing, I knew that he was in a situation where he hadn't played on the collegiate level in a little time. I don't know how long a lapse of times there were, but getting up at 6 a.m. was something he had to get used to. I felt that he was a genuine good kid and a pretty good point guard at the time. So that's why I gave him a chance because I know we all deserve chances. I'm here now because I've been given chances. And so and when this happened, we moved forward. As you stated, that young man started 12 games for me as a walk-on in front of scholarship guys who had started the previous year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because my philosophy is not, I don't care about what you did the year before. I'm going to play the people who are performing and that are giving their all at the present time. And being a walk-on, and he was putting out the effort, and he was yielding the results that we needed, I had no problem with playing him in front of scholarship athletes. And I knew there were scholarship athletes that were upset that I was playing a walk-on before them. So that's why I said Patrick and I had a great relationship. I even went as far as to show I sent the reporter last night text messages where I sent to Patrick throughout the year. I may not quote me verbatim, but the text message, one of them said something like, hey, you're going to get a shot at the starting position this week. You need to bust your tail in practice. because you're going to get that opportunity to start if you perform. Something like that. Another text message said, hey, and I assume he was the starter then when I said, you got the keys to the car. You're the leader now. I expect you to drive it. And
Okay.
I asked that reporter, I said, now, do that sound like a coach that's being abusive?
Right. And here's a question that I want to ask, and I've been noticing, and I don't know if it's intent or just the conscious or the emotional part of it. There's been a lot of energy toward the actual reporter and the report that they made, but that reporter couldn't make that report if the student athlete didn't come forward. So are you putting the energy toward the reporter or to both parties involved?
I'm putting the energy towards both parties involved. Number one, the student athlete, because you weren't truthful. Yeah, I don't care how old you are. I raised my kids, and I hope most people raise their kids to be truthful no matter what. Because once you tell a lie, you have to continue to tell a lie. Right. And then the reporter, because you are the professional in this situation. So therefore, when you're interviewing that kid or before you interview that kid, you should say, whatever you say, I'm going to vet it and make sure it's accurate. So please tell me the truth, because if you don't tell me the truth, then I'm going to expose you for being a liar, because that reporter, is their job, and I'm not in that profession, but I only assume it's their job to make sure that they're getting the most accurate information that they can get.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt. Now, have you had conversation with the student athlete since the story has broken?
No, I have not. I am a mature, grown man, I would like to think. I would not go on social media to blast him or anything like that. If he called, I would listen to him, because one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to hold on. I know how to forgive, but I won't forget.
Yes, sir. Now, what I'm saying, just as a coachable moment, a teachable moment to the young man, that you did have a good rapport with him. You say, hey, I like this kid. Hey, brother, what were you thinking about? Do you realize that what you're putting at risk, not only my career, but your career, because you're going to have life after basketball. And if you're walking around with this stigma as being an untruthful individual, that could damage your credibility in the workforce, which is something he's going to have to deal with for the rest of his life. Do you see that as an opportunity to reach out to him, being the mature one, to try to help right this wrong?
Yes, that's because it's always a teachable moment. And as the more mature adult in this situation, if I was faced with a conversation with him, that's what I would do. I would make sure to let him understand what he done, what could have transpired, and how this could go wrong for either one of us. Because it's always a teachable moment. As a youngster, I'm not sitting on this interview and trying to make it seem like I was perfect in everything I've done, because no way did I do everything perfect. I made mistakes, and Lord knows I wish I can go back and correct some of those mistakes. But I am fortunate that there were a lot of people that was mature enough to tell me when I made them mistakes, and I am blessed that I was wise enough to listen at those who told me I made those mistakes. And so that's where my situation with him. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I hope we get past it.
Yes, sir. We're on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline with Andre Payne, now at Denmark Technical College in South Carolina. We're going to talk about that in just a moment, but we're just trying to, as I say, clear the air on what was a solid Independence weekend. Got a little convoluted toward the end, but it seemed like things are smoothing themselves out right now. And as we move forward in this dialogue, what would be the moment to take away from all that has unfolded so far?
Well, the thing about it is what we have to do as people of the world, we have to be willing to have the open ear and to hear all sides of things before we jump to any conclusion. That's number one. We all know, little cliche been said over years and over years. There's three sides to a story: one, two, and then sometimes the truth. You know, and so therefore, I would ask people to listen to both sides and then use common sense. That's all I ask. You don't have to be educated. You don't have to have a doctorate degree to read that article and to see. And then those who know me personally know that I'm not that type of person. I don't curse. With something that ever slip out my mouth, yes, I'm human. But I don't curse and belittle a player. That's not how I operate. I coach hard. I teach hard. And I may even get a little stern when I say get over there or get over there. But they both mean the same thing. I just said one a little stern at a different time. So I pride myself in being able to give these young men and young women, because I'm an athletic director, as much as knowledge as possible, as much help as possible, so they can be successful in life, to not make the mistakes that I've made or mistakes that I've seen others make.
Yes, sir. That's why we reached out to you, because of our personal work with you in times past. And I knew that we had to have you get your story out. And that's why we're thankful for you taking the time with us. Now, let's fast forward. 2021. You're in South Carolina. You're back on your feet, as you just mentioned, athletic director and head basketball coach. Tell us about your program you got going on, sir.
Well, many people don't know about Denmark Technical College. That is a HBCU junior college. And to my knowledge, there's about 11 HBCU junior community college. It's a unique place. It's actually a great situation. You can get your associate degree here in whatever particular area, but at the same time could get a certification in barbering, cosmetology. And so that's, and people kind of snub their nose and when they see a certificate, and I always say, when your water go out, you don't call a doctor, you call a plumber. When your hair need cut, you don't go to a dentist, you go to a barber shop. And those people make great money. And so like I said, we're HBCU. I came here in October, right after the pandemic. There were look, I'm not wanted that much, but there were quite a few things I turned down because of the pandemic. I didn't know what this COVID thing was like. I didn't want to leave my family. I was in a situation like, no, I don't want to take that job. There was people calling me for assistant spots and things. And so in October, I got the call and I came here because I, had a little understanding about the COVID virus, what I thought, and felt comfortable in that I can go here and then my family would come later. And now here I am. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I took the program over. It was just men and women's basketball, and my president, he looked at me, he said, Payne, I want a real athletic program, not just a high-profile intramural program. And the year before that went 0-22 on the men's side and 4-18 on the women's side. We played a season starting in January. We went 4-10 with the men, so, that was improvement from 0-22, and the women actually went 10-4. So that was a mass improvement. We built a weight room because they didn't have any weight room. They only had one basketball, I think, when I arrived. And I'm thankful that I answered directly to the president, because that was one of the things that I said I wanted. I said, I don't want to have to go through a VP. I want to go directly to the president and be able to have communication. And we started maybe we're up to about 150, 160, 150, 60,000 renovation, with about another 150, 200,000 renovation to go by the end of this summer. And my president, who's Dr. Willie Todd Jr., has given me the reins to build this athletic department, and that's what I love doing. I love putting my touch on there, and I'm thankful for the opportunity that I've been presented with here.
Yes, sir. Now, what's the student enrollment at your college?
We were about 500 last year. I think we're hoping to get it up to about 800. We were one of the few schools, especially HBCUs. You're talking about we're within an hour of 6 HBCUs. We sit right next door to Voorhees College. All right. And to answer your question, we're probably hoping to get it up to 800. Voorhees and Denmark are separated by a fence. We're 35 minutes away from South Carolina State and Claflin, and we're 45 minutes to an hour away from Benedict College and Allen University.
Oh man, you're in a great place.
Yeah, and then we're on an hour away from Augusta, where Payne College is located.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. So it kind of gives you that feel of your old stomping grounds in Wiley a little bit, then.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it actually gives me that more feel of Texas College in 1999, where I started my career, and in 2001, I became one of the youngest four-year head coaches at the age of 25, and I was the athletic director, physical plant director, and the head men's basketball coach at the same time. So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Multiple hats, and always, and what I've always appreciated about your body of work, didn't mind taking on the next challenge, no matter where it was. And I can quite honestly say I never heard you complain, my man. Never heard you complain.
No, I'm too thankful to complain. Don't get me wrong. I'm human now. Sometimes I say, Lord, we ain't gonna bless me with a little more, Lord. But I like to listen to the old church song. I won't complain.
I won't complain. I could, but I won't. I won't complain. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, look, man, I am so thankful that you made yourself available, that you were able to tell your story, that you got all the air clear, and that those who are listening will be able to hear it straight from the source and not by hearsay of what really went down. And as a custom here, we want to give you some closing words and comments, sir, and the floor is now yours.
Okay. I just want to say, for those who know me, you know that I'm a straightforward individual, and I do my best to do my best by others. I want to say this here. One thing I take pride in, one day I'm going to leave this earth, and when I meet my maker, he's not going to ask me how many ball games I won, because Lord knows I might not get in if I give him that record. But he's going to want to know, how did I treat his people? And I take pride in myself in treating these young men and women that I have get a chance to touch or make a difference in their lives. I do my best. I make mistakes, but I'm willing to own up to the mistakes that I made. But I enjoy what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. It's HBCU by choice. By choice. I love my HBCUs. A graduate of one, and have worked at 5 of them. And I plan to continue to do it as long as the good Lord give me the sense and the ability to do it.
With that being said, sir, we want to wish you well. And let's not be so long in between conversations next time. And you stay encouraged, stay focused, and more importantly, stay blessed, my brother.
Thank you so much for allowing me to have this platform to talk with you.
Yes, sir. He is Andre Payne of the Denmark Technical College. What's your mascot, my man?
Panthers.
Look at that. Now I know I got to keep up with you. Now, he's a Panther. Okay, and look, we're going to pull him in. He's not a PV Panther, but he is a Panther, so we're going to rally him on in. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike French. Thank you guys for joining us on the Brazos Valley Schools Credit Union Hotline. You stay blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.